Recording in
We're going. Are we on? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the last Veterans Advisory Board public session of the year. My name is Wendy McClinton. I'm the chair of the Veterans of New York City Veterans Advisory Board. I want to take this opportunity to first allow the Veteran Advisory Board members to introduce themselves who are in the room, and then we're going to allow those to introduce themselves who are online. All right. So again, I'm Wendy McClinton. I'm the chair of the Veterans Advisory Board. I'm a 10-year United States Army Desert Storm Persian Gulf ever vet, honorably discharged from the United States Army. Mr. Walcott.
Andrew Walcott, Veteran Advisory Board member for the past 2 or 3 years, Air Force veteran, and I represent Brooklyn.
I think that's all of our advisory board members that are here in the room. Can we start with our advisory board members that are online, please? Excuse me.
Paul Dietrich, Paul Dietrich, Army veteran, 35 years, retired, representing Staten Island.
Todd Haskins, Marine Corps veteran, been on the board for about 8 years. I think this is my last meeting as my term expires in February. So interesting time to see a lot of evolution over the last 8 years and represent Manhattan.
Hi, my name is Linda Alice, and I've been on the advisory board for less than a year, and I'm a Gold Star mother.
Any of our other advisory board members on the phone?
Yes.
Any of our new members?
Hello, my name is Brendan Gibbons. I'm a Marine Corps veteran representing Queens, and I'm brand new to the board.
Excellent. Welcome. Welcome so much. Any other advisory board members on the phone? On the line?
And like Brendan, Ryan Graham, Queens, Air Force vet, also a new member.
Excellent. Welcome. Did we capture everyone? Great. Do we have any of our elected officials or any of our elected or public officials on the line that would like to give greetings? Or if you're representing an elected or public official, please make yourself known at this time and please share greetings with our Veterans Advisory Board and our guest. Okay, well, we're going to get started. I'm going to ask that, Cassandra, is there a chat? Is there a chat? Great. Our guests that are going to be speaking and sharing with us this evening, if you may share with us and put your name or information in the chat so that our audience that's online and also our audience that's here at City Tech. Thank you so much, City Tech. Would you like to have words and say welcome to everyone? Thank you so much for hosting us today. Appreciate it. Please have words with our body.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're happy to have been asked, and we're happy to have the Veterans Advisory Board here with us today. And we hope that anytime you're in Brooklyn, that you think of us for having your meeting. So just thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for having support our New York City's veterans on behalf of our student vets here at City Tech. We really thank you for all the work that you did.
And at this time, before I go to our guests, I want to we have our Commissioner James Hendon and his team with us. We're going to allow them to come introduce their team, give their reports, and then we'll go to our guests to share information with us as well. So Commissioner Hendon, you can please come in your own way.
Hey, thank you so much, Wendy. We're so happy to be with you guys today. And I just want to acknowledge the folks from the team who are with us on the call right now, with us in this meeting. Here at City Tech, we've got Cassandra Alvarez, our Chief of Staff, who's with us. Also online, we've got Paul Vallone, our Chief Legislative Advisor, and we have Lauren DeMello, our Executive Director for Care Coordination and Mental Health. And so we'll go through a couple of things, and then if that's, we'll go through a couple of things and open up for any comments or questions. For starters, we had a city council meeting recently, and I just wanted to, ask Paul if you could just say a little bit about that as far as anything to share with the group about the city council hearing, which was held where the subject was veterans' mental health. So anything you want to share about that, Paul, before we pass to Lauren and to Cass.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Commissioner. Good to see you, Wendy, and the new board members. Welcome aboard to the greatest board. Yes, we had a joint hearing. And, we always love at DVS when we join up with other council committee hearings. It gives us a chance to meet and discuss elected officials that are not on the Veterans Committee, since we do so well with our council members on the Veterans Committee, chaired by Bob Holden and his team, and they're always there to interact, put in legislation, fight for budgetary needs that we address at DVS throughout the city. Last month, we were able to do a joint with mental health, and we got to hear from the Mental Health Committee with Linda Lee, another Northeast Queens council member, as chair. And the takeaway from that meeting, which was very beneficial since everyone has heard our approach on it, is hearing from other elected officials and their offices. And now Linda has added veterans to her citywide mental health overall committee. And that has been the theme that the commissioner has been working on over the last couple of years, is to unite DVS and veterans in every other aspect and every other agency and every other piece of legislation that we can get to. And that was a big help with last month's hearing. And tomorrow there's actually a quick hearing to pass a resolution to have the state acknowledge November as Veterans Appreciation Month, and that's going to pass unanimously. So that's some more good news. Thanks, Commissioner.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Paul. Next, I'll turn it over to Lauren DeMello from our team, our Executive Director for Care Coordination and Mental Health.
Good afternoon, everyone. So a few updates that I'd like to give are this Monday.
Yeah, Lauren, we can't hear you. I think you just muted. You just went on mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, go get it. Yep.
Okay, so this Monday, I'll repeat it again. This Monday, we had the Military Family Advocate training. The Military Family Advocate Initiative started with the partnership from New York City Department of Education, partnering with the New York City Department of Veteran Services. And we're piloting this program in all Staten Island schools with the hope to roll out to all the boroughs following. The training went very well. 45 schools attended the training, and will now have a designated liaison at the school to serve veteran families. A couple goals of the training were to instill military cultural competency, understanding ranks, how to address people, the concerns, the parts of mental health that would affect families, deployment, sense of loss, moving around a lot. We trained on how to therapeutically engage with these families, and also how to connect them to resources, benefits, understanding the GI Bill, the PACT Act, and also like how to come back to DVS and be a part of our care coordination, where we can directly provide services and resources that veterans need. So that was one initiative. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Good question. You said 45 schools were trained in Staten Island. Who were the actual people being trained?
So the school was allowed to pick someone on their staff who they felt fit for the role. So initially I met with principals and I pitched the program. Who in your school do you fit? Who in your school best fits the role to address families? Right. Okay. In some situations that could be the assistant principal. In some situations that was a guidance counselor, but the determination was made by the principal.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
I would have to say in a majority of schools, though, it is the guidance counselor. So just understand that these people have the background for mental health. Everyone in Staten Island is really excited to be a part of this program, especially considering the political climate, and this is a very real need that can come about to a larger extent because of the political climate. Also, I wanted to update on the Veterans Mental Health Coalition. So that's a group of researchers, clinicians, organizational leaders, directors from different programs and organizations from around the country. We meet once a month and discuss veterans' mental health issues. Last month, we discussed substance use disorder. We had different programs discuss their services. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, I heard an echo. So we discussed different programs that are available for veterans with substance use disorder. This coming month, our topic of discussion is post-traumatic stress disorder. And we have a couple really good presenters. If anybody's interested in joining our Veterans Mental Health Coalition this month or going forward, you can I'll put my email in the chat and just send me an email and I can send you the invitation. That's all I got.
Thanks so much, Lauren. Next one, I'll turn over to.
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh, so go. I'm sorry, Joe. Yeah.
So the Staten Island program, is this program just in Staten Island, or are you going to branch out to the other boroughs at some point?
So it's piloting in Staten Island, and we're hoping to branch it out to all the other boroughs next school year.
Okay, so I take it then this is just the pilot program, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. I'll turn over to Cass from our team. Yeah.
Thanks, Commissioner, and good evening, everyone. And good morning, good evening. Who knows what day it is? Good evening to the members of the board. I'm Cassandra Alvarez, the Chief of Staff here at DVS. So I just have a few updates to share with everybody. The first one is about Veterans Day season. As you know, November is right around the corner. And so I just want to bring everyone's attention to the fact that the Mayor's Veterans Day breakfast is actually going to be on a different day this year. We're uncoupling it from November 11th because the parade is on a Saturday and it has to start earlier because of the broadcast schedule with the major news networks that cover the parade. So we don't want to start the breakfast any earlier than we already do because it starts pretty early in the day. So we're going to have the Mayor's breakfast on November 9th. It's going to be held at Gracie Mansion this year. It's going to start at 9 a.m. We invite the members of the community to attend. If you have not gotten an invitation yet, but you would like to join, you are more than welcome to email me. If you haven't received it, my email address is calvarez, that's CALVAREZ @veterans.nyc.gov. Just shoot me a quick email with your first, last name, and email address, and let me know that you wish to attend. And then on that note, as I said, the parade is on a Saturday this year. It's going to step off at 9:30 this year and run till about 12:30. And it steps off in the same location near Madison Square Park on 26th Street and 5th Avenue. So I invite all of you to come out and be part of the celebrations that day. Of course, the parade is being managed by the United War Veterans Council, who take care of that every year. And so if you want to learn more about the parade specifics, you could go to uwvc.org, and then in the right-hand corner, there's a menu that you can drop down and you'll find more information about the parade. There's also a parade that's happening in Brooklyn this year. It's the Veterans Appreciation Parade and Resource Fair. It's being organized by Dr. Cleopatra Brown, who many of you know, along with Community Boards 3, 8, and 16 in Brooklyn. That parade's taking place on Saturday, November 4th at noon, stepping off from Park Place between Howard Avenue and Ralph Avenue. So please try to support that parade as well. The last update is on communications, DVS communications. So first thing I want to plug here in this space is the DVS weekly newsletter. If you're not on the newsletter, I do encourage all of you to join. It's got great resources in it. We change it up every week. We also have listings for jobs in there, etc. And so that can be accessed at nyc.gov/vetnewsletter. I also want to call your attention to our veterans.nyc. So this is the website that used to be run by the New York City Veterans Alliance. That has now turned into a partnership with the Bob Woodruff Foundation. So our veterans.nyc is actually now powered by the Bob Woodruff Foundation, and it's still got a great plethora of information on their community calendar, the newsletter. I encourage you to also subscribe to that newsletter. What DBS is trying to do in that partnership is create a space in those communications for a commissioner's corner and an opportunity for us to disseminate the agency's information. There's probably a lot of overlap between that newsletter list and our veterans.nyc, but we want to make sure we cover all of our bases and disseminate our messaging out there further. So we're trying to leverage our veterans.nyc. And again, that's thanks to the Bob Woodruff Foundation stepping in and ensuring that the community calendar is still up and running. DBS social media handles are @NYC Veterans. That's our handle on Twitter. That's our handle on Instagram. And you can find us that way on Facebook as well. We're also on LinkedIn too. You can find us NYC Veterans. And then the last thing I just want to mention is that the agency is trying to diversify its communications to meet our veterans where they are. So in 2023, we've leveraged text messaging to communicate to our vets. We send out some direct mail pieces to communicate with our aging veterans who are more comfortable opening direct mail and getting information that way. And then, of course, we are also trying to disseminate communications out to our senior centers. And we saw that actually work with the Wall That Heals, which was the traveling version of the Vietnam War Memorial that was in Queens last month. We sent out that information to the person that leads communications for all of the NYC senior centers. And we actually saw some buses come and some of our seniors come visit the site. So we're trying to diversify our communications, trying to ramp up our outreach in that way and meet people where they are through the modes of communications that they are most comfortable with. So I'll stop right there and open it up for any questions if there are any.
How did, due to a scheduling conflict, how did the Wall That Heals, how did that work? You know, even with all the inclement weather?
Yes.
How did that work and
Yes.
how did it go? Because I know it's in Long Island.
Yes, it's in
Now,
Long, it,
yes.
yeah, I think it's left Long Island. It was in Babylon after it departed from Flushing Meadows Corona Park. So we did face unprecedented weather conditions. The city flooded in ways that we've never seen before. I'm actually from Park Slope, Brooklyn. I lived in that neighborhood for 35 years and I've never seen that neighborhood flood that way. So setting that aside, because there was unprecedented floods, we did experience some flooding at the site, but it did not derail us for too long. We did shut down our operations, I think that Friday after we got the ceremony in on the Thursday.
Right.
We were able to have a really beautiful opening ceremony on the 28th. And it was still, you know, the weather was inclement, but the mayor still came. We had a number of elected officials come. DA Katz, Donovan Richards was there. Councilmember Bob Holden was there. I'm sorry?
At the ceremony.
Yeah, at the ceremony. Yeah, they all came to the ceremony on the 28th. And it was still a beautiful moment. And it was nice to see that the rain did eventually stop when it was time for the wreaths to come out and be placed. So I want to call attention to the Vietnam Veterans of America chapters that played a significant role in helping us host the event. All 4 chapters that are in NYC pitched in to help and really help make it a beautiful, successful event. So we did have school groups come through. Of course, things were a bit derailed on Friday, but then we picked up operations again on Saturday and Sunday. And we had a great representation from the community come out and visit the wall, but also volunteer to support the operations to help build out the wall, staff the site, and then break down the wall. We had active duty Marines, we had students from Manhattan College, students from Queens College. We had vets from Samaritan Village. So it was a really nice representation of the community. So thank you. Thank you, Wendy, for asking. Yeah.
So my name is Farid Sater. I'm from the Marine Collegiate Post 460 from the NYPD.
Okay.
Actually, the Wall That Heals, I was in contact with Ryan and Bridget.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I would say.
Excellent.
Some resources from the
Oh,
NYPD.
thank you. Yes, and the NYPD, I want to stop right there and just recognize that we had amazing agency partners to really help us. So the MTA ran a shuttle bus for us. The NYPD was amazing, and certainly Parks. But I'm sorry.
Yes, so for the Veterans Appreciation Parade, this is gonna be a yearly thing, because this is something that I would like to also have the rank of the NYPD.
I believe
For veterans.
I believe so. That you're talking about the Brooklyn Parade,
Yes,
right? Wendy, do you know more about the appreciation parade? Is that something that Dr.
Yes,
Fairfax
I was trying to pull it up. It's in Brooklyn with Dr. Cleopatra Brown. It starts off, if you give me a few minutes, I'm gonna pull up her email and maybe I can have someone put this flyer on. That's what I was looking for when you were
Yeah.
talking. I'm trying to move through. Please
Yeah, yeah,
forgive
yeah.
me. My laptop is not here. My eyes are like, yeah, where am I doing? Okay, so she's just sent us something and it is a yearly event. They have organizations from all over Brooklyn and also parts of the other 5 boroughs as well. And they have the parade that kicks off over on the I'm gonna say in Bedford-Stuyvesant. However, it ends up at Boys and Girls High School, where they have a huge resource fair with all of the different community-based organizations, faith-based organizations that offer services to veterans. Veterans can come and get on-the-spot training, hiring, registered for different schools. DVS is always a part of that, along with other community-based organizations as well. So as soon as I find it in this phone, I can forward it to Cassandra, and maybe they can put the information in the chats, in the chat, and they'll be able to share that. No, you just give her a call. Just give her a call, and she's very open that way. And while we're doing that, while they're moving, I'm gonna find it for you and bring it up.
So I'd just like to bring up some things about the Wall That Heals. I don't want to say anything specific about the Wall That Heals. You know, it was what it was. But from the conversations with the Vietnam vets, for those who went and didn't go, and those who had conversations with you and the commissioner and others, you know, we have to say this could have been handled better, could have been done better. The location, and I know that several veterans have had conversations with you about the location. We knew that it was a flood zone. So when the storm came on Friday, you know, we have the pictures of the whole place was flooded out. And so it was muddy for the next several days afterwards. I think there could have been better communication when DVS decided to do this event. I think from that moment, or even prior to when the commissioner was thinking about doing this event, he should have brought in, other players, other partners from the VVA side of the house before bringing anybody else in. As you know, the VVA has done this event before. The last time it was at Cunningham Park. And that event was really nice because the parking was right there, the wall was right there. So, I mean, overall, again, the weather played a big part in it. But I have to say, on behalf of the Vietnam vets and the guys I've been speaking to in chapter 72, 32, and 126, this could have been handled a bit better. This could have been handled with a little more communication and a little more understanding of what was happening. In fact, when the floods came on Friday, I actually put out a tweet asking is this thing still open or not? And then it took the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Foundation to say, no, it's closed, before DVS put out it was closed at 2:00 in the afternoon. So I'm not trying to shit all over everybody, but I'm just saying the communication and the way this led up to it could have been handled better. I think that a lot of the Vietnam vets, had there been a conversation, and again, I'm not privy to these, whether Councilman Holden was involved or anything like that, but it could have been held in Elmhurst Park. And that would have been something else, because you would have had the Queens Memorial with all the Queens, and you would have had the Wall That Heals right there as well. And that's kind of higher, on a higher elevation, instead of the flood zone that we wound up, being in. So that's all I'll say about that.
Fair enough. Thank you for your feedback, Joe.
Yeah, no, thanks, Joe.
Thank you for your feedback. I'll just respond to a couple of things you said.
Sure.
So this was a learning experience for us. This is the first time we've ever done a citywide event like this. We're not even the planners of the Veterans Day Parade. UWVC handled that. Of course, we did employ some talent from
Yeah, they
UWVC to help us.
hosted they did the opening. ceremony, yeah.
Exactly, and they actually helped us, Ryan Haig actually helped us with the logistics, and he brought that
Sure.
experience to
Yeah.
the table. So, we did have some folks on our side that knew how to manage events like this.
Yeah.
The weather was unprecedented.
Yeah.
We hear you on the trickiness of the site. Like I said, it's a learning experience for us. We did hear in the beginning that the site was challenging. We heard some feedback about it being difficult to access. We were aware of all those things. We tried to counter that by making it more accessible with shuttle buses. That's why we had the MTA run a shuttle bus. We even had a private shuttle bus running
Yeah.
just to make double sure. So I know that at the end of the event, a couple vets came up to me and said, I know that there was a lot of bickering about the site,
Mhm.
but I just want to let you know that this was a
Yeah.
beautiful ceremony and thank you for creating this.
Yeah, and again, I'd say
So-
nothing about the ceremony. I just think that, you know, when the commissioner is sending out multiple emails to both the harbor director and the Bronx director, and we're trying to rustle up people, and the location where the MTA bus would drop them off, and they'd have to go across on the boardwalk to get in, I just think, you know, again, from the conversations, and we've probably talked to the same people, has been that, you know, look, in the beginning, you know, and I understand it's the first time, I just think that in the beginning, there should have been more conversation, more communication, and, you know, perhaps even like an executive meeting with the commissioner, the parks, the deputy borough commander for Queens, and for others to like, you know, get a place instead of basically telling people, well, this is what the Parks Department gave us. So I just think, again, it's the first time, but I just think if this does happen again, if you guys decide to do this event again, I think you know, hopefully a lot of us learned from all this experience and, you know, it'll be better next time.
Fair enough. Thank you for your.
Yeah.
Thanks. Anything else, Cass?
No, that's it for me. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, it was a tremendous event. Well done.
Yeah.
I agree, Paul.
Tremendous. Should have been there.
So a couple things I'll mention, and I want to turn back to Paul to say one other thing before we wrap on our section. First off, just want to acknowledge that we recently hit a milestone, really working with partners on the food effort that really Black Veterans Social Justice and the Campaign Against Hunger and HelloFresh and the New York State Department of Veteran Services really all come together on. And we reached the 2 million food mark a couple of weeks ago. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that as far as the work done by all the folks who are volunteering and who are part of that, for whom we get food out. It's 8,000 meals each Wednesday that are prepared and pushed out of the Campaign Against Hunger's warehouse in East New York. And we've been doing this since July of 2020. And I just wanted to take this moment to kind of, you know, give roses to everybody involved with it, between the folks at BVSJ and the folks with the Campaign Against Hunger and HelloFresh and New York State BVS. And so I just wanted to just pause to acknowledge that. If anyone has any food-related issues, you can always visit nyc.gov/vetfood, where we can help connect the dots to, you know, triage those if folks have needs that involve food insecurity. Next thing I wanted to comment on, for the Joseph P. Dwyer program, this is the program where we're receiving money from the state to help support, you know, help-seeking behavior amongst our veterans. We've made a huge move forward in that our concept paper is now available online. It's available at nyc.gov/vetdwyer. At nyc.gov/vetdwyer. It explains the contours of how we are working to distribute the funds that we have. We had to put a concept paper out because it's our first time as an agency doing something like this, where it's going through the contracting process, but it effectively is almost acting like a grant, basically from us to our VSOs to support activities that advance help-seeking behavior. And so that concept paper is going to be up. It's already up. The actual RFP, where people can respond and put in their ideas, will come live in mid to late November. We're looking at the period from mid to late November through the end of the year being the response period for folks to get back to us. The month of January, we're looking to set that aside for us to evaluate all of the different proposals and figure out how to best distribute the funds that we have to those who we know will have the greatest return on investment in terms of helping our veterans. And we're looking to have these projects start sometime in the spring of 2024, running through the end of the year. And so it's new, us plugging into the state money and the state opportunity. And so for us, this first iteration will be setting things up where, once again, people can respond from mid to late November through the end of the year. We will go back and score and judge and look at things and then get back to folks to let them know whether they've won, and ideally have people execute from spring till the end of 2024. Going forward, it will be more of a fiscal year format where it will tie into the fiscal year for the city, which is from July 1st to June 30th. But for now, this is what we're doing to try to get this first wave of Dwyer funding out. And once again, more information is at nyc.gov/vetdwyer. I'll pause if there are any comments or questions on that.
Yeah, I have a question. You testified that 4 groups are already getting funding from the Joseph P. Dwyer funding, including and being used for yoga, Zumba dancing. and rehabilitating American Legion post. Is that correct as well?
Yes, it is. So we received all the money at once as far as all the FY 22 money and the FY 23 money and the FY 24 money. This is the first time that, we've been plugged into this program. And so money went from the state Office of Mental Health to the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, and then to us. And so when we got that FY 22 money, we said, look, we've got to get this out now. It was a use or lose situation for the FY 22 money because it came late from the state. And so for us, it was, let's do what we can to fund a few projects right now, because we'd already put out a request for expressions of interest, of which we had several respondents. So to give us an idea of where this thing would go, we wanted to listen to the community. We said, okay, well, we have some money that's got to be spent now. Let's go back and get 4 pilot projects off the ground. And so that's where you have the one project is a Zumba project, working with an American Legion chapter in Brooklyn. Another is dealing with Columbia University and an equine therapy related project. The other one is a project with the Fuller Center for Greater New York City, or what was formerly Habitat for Humanity, working with one of our American Legion chapters in Queens. And then the other project was out in Staten Island, yoga project for as far as veterans looking at yoga. So we had to get some of those off the ground. So you do see some projects that are up, but for us, we want to get our legs underneath us with the future and current funding through this more RFP model, where we allow people to put their ideas up and we get back and see how we can make things work to advance them through Dwyer.
Yeah. Prior to the RFI, when I was still on the Veterans Advisory Board, you had asked, sorry. You had stated that a VAB member was going to be on the selection committee. So could you tell us what VAB member was on the initial ones that you funded for FY 22?
We didn't have anyone on the one for FY 22. We just went with what we got from the RFEI. So going forward, as far as what's coming, we are looking at having more community representation in that process. But we didn't have someone on for those initial ones. We were in a spot where we gotten the money much late in the process, and we had to make some quick decisions on getting it out. And so we took a few of the proposed ideas from the RFEI, from the initial request for expressions of interest, and acted with those.
Well, I think for me and for others I've spoken to, we know that the Joseph Dwyer has its aims to reduce veteran isolation associated with mental health. And then it's strange that you funded for rehabilitating an American Legion post in Rosedale, Lawrington. And then they wound up receiving $75,000 through Governor Hochul's Veterans Nonprofit Capital Program. So what exactly is that money going into for rehabilitation?
To speak to that one, that's a project where it's more of a, think about a Habitat for Humanity kind of approach to it. So think about it like that. So don't think of it as money that's going to the capital, but really money that's going into working with the different volunteers for the day-to-day aspect of, we've got this group that's going to come and do this work to keep moving the needle. So it's more about the actual action of the building for those.
But what mental health work will they be doing at the Rosedale?
So I want to, when we talk about normalizing help-seeking behavior, it's not just in the context of someone having a therapist and receiving whatever, services like that.
Oh, could be
a lot of it
peer-to-peer.
is, say it again?
Could be peer-to-peer.
Yeah, it's the idea of people getting to a good place by coming out in social settings and embracing each other, or doing things where, you have some veterans for whom, I want to pick up a hammer, I want to be able to get that wrench and just do some work. And that's a way that's good for my soul. And so with that project, it's really about the actual modality of giving a forum for a veteran who wants to work with her hands or his hands to be able to do certain things, be around other people. And so that's how we look at it.
And who in DVS is running this program?
So Ellen Greeley, our Assistant Commissioner for Partnerships and Strategic Engagement, is the main person who has
So
the
it's
lead.
not Lorenzo Mello for mental health, even though this is a mental health program.
The partnerships aspect of this comes from us receiving the state money, but and I've said this, I think, to be clear, in other settings, the longer game for us is to say, this is what we've gotten from the state. Let's go to our philanthropic friends, to others in the private sector too, and say, hey, look, here are projects that we are supporting using government money. Can you come and meet us with this? In other words, can you spot us 50 cents of the dollar or $1 to dollars or anything that you want to pick up? So we want to leverage this opportunity as a way to have a multiplier effect, and not just, we want to try to get $1 out of 15 cents with the opportunities. That's why it's on the partnerships.
I just want to reiterate for the record, we've spoken about this, so you'll know where I'm coming from. As I said, for the Dwyer peer-to-peer, I would have liked to have seen DVS take the Suffolk County model. And I understand this was, you told me this was your decision to make. I'm just a little like, you know, you funded some groups, you're holding on to money for others, you want a paper, a request for a procurement. I just want to see this program finally get off the ground for vets, and I think a lot of us do too. So that I'll just leave it at that.
I gotta say, we're trying to do innovative things in a bureaucratic system that's got its own structures. And so we're doing what we can to kind of operate within it. I think that as this thing does get its legs underneath it, and as we get into this first year of it functioning the way that it's intended, I think that we're gonna be in a good place here. And I love that everyone has a seat at the table as far as if veteran leaders want to do something and say, hey, I have an idea, we present it, let's see if I can get it funded so I can do something that can help our brothers and sisters be able to come together and be in a better place. I think that it's taken us time, but I'm really optimistic about what we're doing with this.
Again, I'm not a social worker. I don't work within mental health, but I don't think Ellen Greeley does either. So I just want to see some more, you know, like movement into like, you know, actually doing what New York State says by, you know, dealing with reducing veteran isolation, associated mental health issues, you know, and again, you may have a plan and maybe long-term we see it works out, but right now, we're just waiting to see where it is, that's all.
Yeah, no, I get it.
All right.
No, thank you so much.
I
Thank
think
you.
all the
Yeah.
questions and stuff are gonna be answered, maybe not here at this forum, but at this table, but we can figure those things out, but not, you know, not here. Maybe not at this time. So if there's any questions that we cannot answer, we can definitely set up another discussion or a roundtable, you know, focused on that particular issue. You know, but thank you so much. Very healthy discussion.
There's just you know, one or two other things I want to say. I want to let Paul speak into what we'll call it. I want to flag for everybody. I mentioned this to the board at the you know, at the executive meeting the board had recently. Something we're very mindful of is, you know, heaven forbid if there's a government shutdown on November 17th, we're going to have many of our active duty brothers and sisters and a good number of our reservists and some of our guardsmen who may be on federal orders who will stop getting paid. And so we've been doing what we can on the DVS side to talk about this and to speak with our chain of command internally in government and with our peer organizations to the left and right so that folks are ready to be in an all hands on deck approach if we have a situation where we get to November 17th and there is a government shutdown. According to the DOD, there are 24,824 active reserve and guard community members in New York City, meaning someone who's either a guardsman, reservist, or active duty, or a dependent in the Defense Department system. And so we are just, you know, being mindful of this. And I just want to say this also, if anyone has any ideas or suggestions or anything they want to offer by way of support, if this occurs, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You know, I'll put our information in the chat, but I just want to flag this as far as something that our commitment is to all service members, past and present. And many of our colleagues who are still serving will be severely impacted if the government shuts down on November 17th. I wanted to recognize that this is the last meeting for two of the VAB members too. I want to call out Todd Haskins and thank him for his service as far as really he's been with the board for several years now. And also I know that Jen Kamrowski, that this is her last meeting as well. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge them and just thank them for doing this work. And everyone on the board, we appreciate you guys because no one gets paid to be here as far as the VAB. And we appreciate all of you coming and taking the time and just behind the scenes being that force for our veterans. And I just want to turn to Paul to say one or two other things.
Yeah, if I may, real quick. Real quickly, just to Jen and Todd, particularly for Todd. You know, Todd and I served together on the board for roughly 7 years. It was an honor serving with you as the chair and me being the secretary. I was proud of the work that we got done. And I wish both you and Jen all the best and stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I just want to throw it to Paul to mention one other thing before and then we're in on our section. Madam
Yeah,
Chair.
just real quick, Commissioner, I'll wrap up by saying, one of the things we've talked about over the last couple of years, and it goes back to our time in council as well as a council member, was the ability to just get veteran critical information to the elected officials, their staffs, so they understand better who's in their district, where the locations of the VSOs and the VFWs and those who play a part in the veteran community are, because you'd be surprised how little that information is in each of the elected officials' offices unless they are an active veteran member or they're part of the actual committee. So the good news is the commissioner is able to enter into data sharing agreements now with the New York State Senate, New York State Assembly, New York City Council. We just recently signed with the New York City delegation for the congressional members, even though they're going through some turmoil as we speak, but they were able to sign. So now the electeds will have, as the information comes in and it's updated each year, the locations, the phone numbers, the contacts, just like the people that are here. Sometimes the first question is, who do I call? Where do I go? How do I get? Right? Usually those are the three questions that Warren and the team are dealing with. So getting that information out was a big deal. Those data sharing agreements have been signed. So Commissioner, great work on that. And the last thing is some of the, and I know Todd working with your many different hats, was how do we access different types of funding come from different sources? So DVS was trying to kind of guide some of the community members through that process last year. A lot of that was done online. January is right around the corner, believe it or not. And at the next meeting, we'll bring that up again, that there's a very short window between January and February to apply for those discretionary grants that the council puts out, and sometimes on the Albany side as well. So now we started a pilot program in-house to assist some of the folks on the nonprofit side, on the private side, the veteran side, to get through that process, and also try to increase the amount that the council used last year. That we came close to creating a first veteran-funded initiative, but with the budget the way it was, and it's probably going to do again with the migrant crisis, we'll try to get that in there. But just a couple of last updates. Thanks, Commissioner.
So I want to, if it's okay with you, Wendy, I see that there's some questions on the chat, some comments. I just want to make sure we take time to just address these.
Yeah, if you can. I don't have my laptop,
it's okay. So one of
can't
them
see it.
is just as far as, this is, I want to call out Rebecca. Thank you for the question too, as far as can someone from DVS tell me how the wall's supposed to help me? I need reduced Metro cards and fresh food. On the fresh food piece, so we've got nyc.gov/vet food is a place where we do list different food related resources. Everything between the Nutrition Kitchen resource that's available through the Department of Probation, through the HelloFresh food that we do in partnership with Black Vets for Social Justice and Campaign Against Hunger. Also, we put other things as far as folks applying for SNAP and things along those lines, but really there's also a Fresh Connect checks program that New York State DVS has, giving people $20 credits to be able to go to farmers markets. So that's it's $50, forgive me, sorry, it's up $50 now. And that's nyc.gov/vet food. And so I'll put that in the chat. With the Metro cards issue, that's more of a legislative piece that's beyond us as far as anything with regards to reduced Metro cards. I know that New Yorkers who are 65 or older are able to obtain reduced fare Metro cards, but as far as less than that, or those with disability, thanks, Joe. As far as other pieces of it, that's more of a legislative piece as far as the Metro card stuff. I just want to say that. And I want to go to Barbara's question. So Barbara, a couple of things. The question is, my name is Barbara Morris. I'm a disabled veteran widow who holds both a mobile food permit and operates my own vending cart. What can you do as commissioner to make sure that all veterans obtain a food cart permit, since state general business law 32 guarantees all veterans the right to vend food in New York State? A couple of things. We're happy to talk offline with this as far as any contacts we can refer you to when it comes to veterans looking at getting into that space. Also, we are going to have a convening on these issues with our different veteran street vendors, and that's going to be held at the municipal building on November 1st. And I'll put that information in the chat. We've already reached out to all existing vendors as far as mailing them information about this and informing them about this meeting. But I'll put that info in the chat as a place to learn more about this. On the vending piece, just an aside for those who currently have, vending permits who are doing this work, the Department of Sanitation has been moving mountains to move people off of spaces when they are taking something that a veteran should be at, that someone who has the right permit should be at when it comes to our disabled veteran vendors. And so I just want to call that out. It's something we'll speak to more on the 1st, but that this was an issue where our veterans are getting displaced. It's been something that's been just a rising problem that the Department of Sanitation has been able to really get on top of, especially over these past few weeks. Things have turned a corner with sanitation and with the Deputy Mayor for Operations, Deputy Mayor Mira Joshi. We've really tried to focus them there. So I'll put that information in the chat too. And let me see, I'm just reading this next one. Winston Chan, peer mentor, Graduate Center, College of Staten Island, COVA, Student Veterans of America, Office of Brooklyn College. I'm just make sure I got this as far as a question. Oh, it's an invitational event. That's,
Yes, it's
sorry,
invitation.
I'll respond
Permission
separately.
to-
Forgive me. Didn't know if there were any other questions in the chat, but yeah. And Barbara, I'm seeing your note. Let me circle back because I know our team got we sent, to make sure we stuck the landing, we got the physical letters mailed out to folks too. And so we'll follow up with you to make sure that you have all the information. We'll put info in the chat about the street vendors gathering on November 1st.
Robert Alcantara is saying he had a meeting with you guys at DVS last Friday, and that he was supposed to meet with Jason Lawram, and he wound up meeting with Ellen Greeley. But that, now you've said that the list is private, but he's saying he got the list. Now, none of us have seen this invite either. So, and especially those of us, including Barbara, Dan, Dondi, who have been in these meetings.
We'll make sure we've gotten this out on the social media side too, so it's in digits.
And the
so not
letter
just in
says it's a
writing.
reception, not a convening.
I'm sorry, it just using words that are interchangeable. Forgive me. I'm just
is-
thinking
is
of
it
it
going to be-
as a, yeah.
Because the letter kind of dictates that it's going to be like you're looking to bring in other groups to hear vendor stories. That's the way the letter is kind of written out. When I asked you back in April at the VAB meeting, we talked about, having this meeting through your VBLA. And you said you had 2 other meetings, and that this was supposed to be to address some of the concerns and the issues that the veteran vendors are seeing on the streets and coming to the city council hearings and coming to the VAB meetings. So I'm just wondering, is this, you're using the semantics of words, but I mean, this event for all intents and purposes is in what, 12 days? 13
So
days?
the main purpose of it is we've got a lot of our veteran vendors who don't know one another. So we wanted to create a forum where everyone can come together and be able to meet. And so that was really one of the top purposes of it. Also, we have other government agencies that'll be there also. It's kind of like a meet and greet. So it's really an opportunity for folks to know who else is in this space as far as other veterans in the city who are doing this, and who else is doing this work on the city services side, on the city agency side, who else is involved here. So those are the real goals, that someone walks away and has a better idea who are other people in my tribe as far as other vendors, and who are the folks who, just so I can physically see people from different agencies who are involved in these issues.
Yeah, I would just say then, with like 12 days before this event and no one saw this letter, I think so whoever's working on it in DVS needs to get moving on it. Because certainly Robert Belkanier is not saying anything to anybody other than he has the list.
Well, maybe we
Yeah.
can help do that.
Yeah, and I
We
can't
can,
speak to Robert. I
yeah.
can't speak to
Oh, no, I'm just
somebody
saying.
independent. Yeah, I just know for us,
I'm
I
just
know
saying,
that,
but the
yeah, I know
implication
that we went so far as to make sure we got everything out in the mail too. So, hopefully those should be arriving. If they've not arrived already, they'll be arriving soon as far as people physically getting this information. So, yeah.
Well, there's
Yeah.
one thing we can do, okay?
Crash.
One thing that we can do with all of our community-based organizations and all of our connections, if the commissioner, his staff will get us the flyer, you know what I'm saying, and we'll put it on our websites, we'll get it out. I think the best way of getting and organizing our vets and stuff is word of mouth, and putting it out that way. And we can do that. So we'll make sure that, all these things, happen and we get it out, in a timely way. Commissioner, do you and your team have anything else you would like to share?
No, we're good. We don't have anything else that we need to share or like to share at this time. We're here for the whole thing. So as far as any other questions that come.
Cool. I just want to also keep our eyes on, I was at a meeting yesterday at doing a TV podcast with CUNY TV and met with Lisa Bethea. She is the student veteran liaison over the CUNY system. There's about 2,700 student veterans. We have, after the passing of Pat Huntley, who was a key individual working and linking that through CUNY, our veterans through services and different things like that, there's been a lack, there's been an absence, there's been a void that we need to really try to fill in any way that we can. We also, our Staff Sergeant Fox program has been working to do that, mental health portion of it. We have some other peer-to-peer individuals. We want to make sure, we told them to reach out to DVS, because one of the things that she did say to me that I found it quite disturbing was that there was no funding to assist this department within CUNY that assists these 2,700 veterans across the CUNY system. They are having on November 3rd, because she asked BVSJ, and I definitely said yes, that we would be able to help through not only Staff Sergeant Fox, but they're having on November 3rd a awards luncheon. It's going to be at the CUNY Graduate Center on November 3rd, and it's called Showcasing Their Peer Mentors, entitled You Are More Than Conquerors. And so we want to do that, and they're looking for community-based organizations and looking for individuals that can help celebrate these peer mentors that work with these veterans. And I will definitely get the information too. I'm gonna see if somebody can type it in the chat for me, because I did forget my good laptop, so I can't type it in. But to get that information out, because we do want to support our mentoring programs, especially our peer-to-peer, as we already know that veterans seem to work well with other veterans. They seem to identify with the camaraderie and the different things of that nature. So we want to keep that thrust and them moving as well. So we want to make sure we see how we as a body, and also in our own organizations, in our own clubs, our own VSOs, that we see how we can take time on November 3rd to support them. They asked us.
Wendy, say it again, I'll type it in here. Talk to me, give me the info again.
I'll give it to you. Her name is Lisa
Lisa
Bethea.
Biafra, yeah.
Bethea, Bethea. She is the community, oh, here it is, right here.
She's the executive director for,
And so for me, it's, yeah, as far as the event, yeah, what do you want to
Well,
put in there on
she's,
this?
and then the other contact's name is Nina. I'll spell it Perdomo. She's a veteran peer mentor. And the event is gonna be on November 3rd. It's gonna be at the CUNY Graduate Center in New York City. I think that address is 365.
I looked at it,
Fifth Avenue.
what time is it gonna be?
They don't have a time.
Oh.
that's the event he invited you.
Where are
They
you?
invited
Hold
you
on.
to it.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
event starts at
Okay,
11
put it in,
a.m.
okay, as long as we got
Ah!
it. Thanks, Winston. Thanks for putting it out there. Oh, somebody put it in the chat. We want to make sure,
Put it in
we
the chat.
want to make sure it got in the chat.
Make
So,
sure it got in
thank
the
you,
chat.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Winston.
much. So we have that. All right. So now we're going to, with that all being said, we're gonna have our guests come and make some presentations to our online guests, and also the guests that are here within the room. And the first one I just want to ask is Jasmine Velasquez. Is she on the line to talk about state unclaimed funds? Jasmine? Okay, maybe she'll come on. We have Dondi McKellar along with Benjamin Solitaire. And they're going to address us with the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. And that's what, preparatory budgets?
Participatory budgeting.
Participatory budgets,
That's the
thank
hard
you.
one. It's Dondi. I
Okay.
haven't seen Dondi. I don't know if he's.
Hi, I'm here. Can
There you
hear me?
are. Hi, Dondi.
Yes.
You want to say
Take your
something
time.
first?
Yes, hi, and thank you, everyone. My name is Dondi McKellar. I'm a United States Navy veteran, and I'm the former chair of the Bronx Community Board 2. And I am proud to say that I have been serving on the commissioner, on the Civic Engagement Participatory Budgeting Advisory Board since 2019. And it's just something as a veteran I wanted to share with all veterans who loves to be civically involved. We have community boards, which are great, and I enjoy being on them and served for 4 years. But we have something new called Civic Engagement Participatory Budgeting that's also civic minded. And if you like to get involved and be involved with civic involvement, I would suggest and highly recommend this participatory budgeting advisory. And Ben is going to share with you more about how we can get involved as veterans. We was involved with DVS at one of the events that they gave during the summer, during a portion of the voting phase of our participatory project. And we also was involved with the VA hospital to reach out to veterans so they can get involved with helping to spend $5 million towards initiatives that can help veterans. So I'm going to stop there and let Ben pick up from where he's at the table. So thank you guys for making the time to listen to us this evening.
Thank you, Dante. You've been a huge bonus and offered a lot of advice to us at the Civic Engagement Commission, voicing the interests of veterans across the city. Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Benjamin. Hi, Joe. Nice to see you. Benjamin Solitaire. I'm an advisor with the Civic Engagement Commission. Not sure which way I'll look, but I'll go back and forth. We do a lot of things there. I'll talk about a couple other things, but before I get to the participatory budgeting part, but we do voter outreach, voter turnout. We have Democracy NYC in our commission, who's working to stop the drop so that we get people out there to vote. It's one thing to have your say, in meetings like this, but we all know the importance of voting, and we just have lower and lower numbers every year. We have one coming up November 7th. So hopefully people are registered and we'll get out to vote for that. Early voting starts the 28th, October 28th, so not too far away. We provide translation services in languages not provided by the Board of Elections throughout the city too. So we want to make sure that everybody, regardless of where they come from, can vote. So we provide those language translation services as well. We do trainings at community boards across the city. We're responsible for providing skills trainings to all 59 community boards. We just started a series now of parliamentary trainings, which helps the board meetings run well. We have budget training, city budget trainings, as well as disability access trainings coming up. I don't know if we should talk maybe with DVS at some point about providing a training for boards about veteran services and how to attract veterans and what the services you can provide. We should talk about that sometime soon. And then, as Dante said, we have probably sort of our biggest project process is the People's Money, which is the first ever citywide participatory budgeting process. I'll call it the People's Money, since participatory budgeting, as we know, is a little bit of a mouthful. But yeah, we have money allocated from the administration to projects that will be suggested and evaluated and voted on by the residents of New York City. All you have to do is live in New York City and be 11 years old or older to participate. Right now, we are holding idea sessions around the city. Participate.nyc.gov. I don't know if you can type that in.
It's in.
Oh, it is.
I got you.
Thank you, Commissioner. So participate.nyc.gov. You can submit your ideas for projects. This is expense funding. You might be familiar with this project process as a council project, which has been in the city this is its 13th year. They do mostly capital, which is brick and mortar, but we have money for expense projects. So food delivery systems, mental health issues, arts classes for students, intergenerational programs. You can see all the projects that won last year on that site, and you can go and suggest your own, whether for your community. So, and you can also find out where to do a process, go to a meeting in person. So you can go meet with people, discuss the issues in your community and suggest ideas there, or you can do it online. That goes all the way up until November 19th of this year. So you can also go to the Civic Engagement Commission website and volunteer with us in different ways. You can get our newsletter to find out what's going on. But I think we can all recognize the importance of being engaged in your community. You obviously all are already, and it's something we try to grow. Part of the Civic Engagement Commission is the first commission voted into existence back in 2018. So the people of New York understood that civic engagement was important. They voted us in. PV, the language translation community board, that's all part of the city charter. And we are here to serve you. So thank you very much for the time. We'll take any questions. But I have flyers for people in the room and the chat. Thank you for putting that up. Yes, the Civic Engagement Commission up there. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I want to hear more about the people's money.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said, we have money. We have this cycle, last year it was about 5 million, but this year we'll have a part of the city money. We're still trying to decide exactly what it'll be, but $3.5 or so million that is distributed based on to every borough. And is divided up by percentage of people living in poverty in those boroughs. So not every borough gets the equal amount. It depends on the poverty level per borough. because we are an equity-based process. We really want to make sure the money goes where it's most needed. Then you come out, you suggest those ideas that I was talking about, go to the website or go to a meeting. If you have an idea that your community might need, maybe the youngsters need art programming, or maybe they need mental health services, you can suggest that idea. And then we'll take all the ideas that we collect between now and November 19th across the city, and we will evaluate them. We'll look at them all. We'll have groups of residents from the boroughs, each deciding, because we can't vote on, we got 4,000 ideas last year. So we can't vote on all of those. So we'll come up with the top priority projects, and they will go out on a ballot that in the spring and April, the entire city will get to vote on for your borough and which projects we fund.
So if you want to do something with food insecurities with veterans,
Yes,
or you want to do mental health, like they may do some sort of gardening or starting their own farms or something like that.
yeah.
You know, so I'm just trying to understand who would get together. Would it be like maybe the community board, or
Yeah, that's a great
where does
question.
it come? Who gets together to
We-
make the suggestion?
Yeah, no, the suggestion can come from anyone. It can come from an
An
individual, it
Okay.
can come from an organization, whatever. Anybody can go to the website or attend an idea to give us a suggestion, give us an idea. Then we evaluate those, we decide what the priorities are for the borough. We look at all the ideas and we put those on a ballot. So again, we might get 500 ideas for Brooklyn. We can only put 10 or so on a ballot. But then everybody gets to vote. Now, the implementers of those will be community-based organizations. We will put out, as the commissioner said before, an RFEI, a request for information, expression of interest, sorry. And we will pick a community-based organization to implement that project in the neediest neighborhoods. We would love that. Go put those two on the participate. Yes, here you go. You can go to that, you can scan that QR code, or you can go to an in-person meeting.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
We would love if we can
Alright.
share the information, if you could disseminate the website everywhere, if DVS could help us out, get the information out. To let people know, because yeah, we got about 4 more weeks of ideas generation.
How many you got so far?
I didn't look. I'm sorry. Well, we also, we've been holding in sessions, live sessions, and they may not have been uploaded to the website. On the website, you can see all the ideas that have been uploaded to date or
Wow.
put out there. So there's probably a lot out there that haven't been uploaded yet, but.
Oh, wow. We got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, and please, again, the community board's an amazing part of it. I don't know how many people on the board or how many veterans are on the community boards.
Oh, they should.
They're
Not a
at the
lot.
ground level of government in New York City. We go out there, we're trying to provide all the information we can to make them work better and represent their communities better. So again, if there's a way we can get together with you guys to get the message out, we'd love to do
And
that.
Wendy, just so you know, last one, Dondi and I worked with Ben, and Dondi actually tabled at the Bronx VA Hospital and got a lot of names, a lot of.
We got a lot of
ballots,
votes.
A lot
Yeah.
of votes.
Donnie and I hung out at the Bronx VA
Yeah.
Hospital for several hours.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Then we went to an event at the Met Field. That was,
Oh, yeah, the city field.
yeah, yes. I got the picture with Mr. Met, which is always fun.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
No,
Donnie,
thank you.
thanks so much. We'll be in touch.
We come back, because one thing that's too,
Thank
to
you.
add that our community boards are having been visiting some in Brooklyn, the veteran attendance is low. We need to build that up even more, so that we have our veterans know that they have a voice.
Yeah.
Not only in the community, but also in city, things that happen. And a lot of times, veterans use individuals as their mouthpiece, but yet they're the greatest mouthpiece that they could be when they come together and voice their concerns. And that's what we want to try to make sure, that there's a voice in getting them to attend these meetings, and those in the city, state, and federal government, so that they know that they'll listen. And then you don't have as many people doing things for you. You have people generating policy and also on what you need. Another thing, I'm inviting everyone, visit the National Coalition of Homeless Veterans website. That's where you're gonna find all the different legislation, all the different things that are moving in government towards our veterans on a national level that really impact us on a local level. All right, so we need to continue and ask everybody to pay keen attention to that as well, because I know they would be They have got ideas.
Yeah, if I could just say one more quick thing, I
Sure.
think it's, you know, what the Civic Engagement Commission and participatory budgeting, the people's money is based on is the lived experiences of the residents of New York City. You know, we who work in government have done that for years. We try to enact policies, we try to make regulations and rules that benefit everybody. But if we don't hear from the people that live here, we don't know how to do the right policies. So it's your lived experience. When you come and give us an idea, that's what we want to hear, you know? I can sit around in my office and talk about what veterans need, but I'm not a veteran, I've never, you know? And so we need to hear directly from you guys to serve your constituents.
That's right. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dondi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Benjamin. Also, we have, I don't know if they're on the line, Timothy Pena? Timothy? Are you there? Timothy? Has Jasmine Velasquez joined us? No? Okay. They're not there as well, well, they were on the list to speak. Also, I'm gonna ask, Mr. Rios, is there any information you would like to give on the Staff Sergeant Fox program that's servicing New York City and Long Island?
Just to say that we are working with Medgar Evers College to support the veterans there in any way that we can regarding the loss of Mr. Pat Huntley. Our team is going there every Wednesday, and we're willing to offer as much support as we can for those veterans in any way that we can. Off topic, on the Veterans Appreciation Parade on October the 28th, I've been selected to be one of the Grand Marshals, so that's a terrific honor for me. And I thought I'd just share that with you.
Congratulations.
Brooklyn Library one, right?
Yes.
Brooklyn Library, so we have to put that in the chat. There's two of them that day. What's the other one?
The other one is, oh.
Yeah.
Somebody, I forgot something with the Buffalo soldiers.
You're doing 10/28 or the, which one are you got?
Yeah, the 28th.
I'll be out there with you too, man. I'll be there. Yeah.
But there's two on the day?
No, there's one on the, you've got the Buffalo Soldiers have one on the 28th.
Right.
And then you've got Cleopatra's is on the 4th.
The 4th. So the one that Mr. Rios you're talking about is the Buffalo Soldiers one.
Yeah,
Got
Buffalo
you.
Soldiers.
Okay, just want to make sure we got all of this, because guess what? It's a lot. Veterans Day and month is coming, October, November, and the middle of December is Veterans Day. So we have to get our old stuff and all our hands decked, you know, but the thing about it is, it should be like that every day though, not just Veterans Day.
That's right.
Every day should be Veterans Day. So we want to keep that in mind as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome, you're welcome. Commissioner, do we have, just one question, do we have anything or any information? I know that they're working on it on the federal level, with the board of the secretary of the VA's advisory board. Do we have any information or any information on the local level of the transition assistance program? And what is happening with that? Are we finding, the reason I'm asking, I'm trying to see if what individuals have implemented on the federal level, state level, and has it trickled down, and is it taking any effect on the city level? Because how we deal with our veterans when they transition and they wind up in New York City, has that changed? Has the face changed? Has the processes changed? Has anything happened, you know, like VA, has processes become easier? Are claims moving any faster? You know, are we able to service them better? Because I see the implementation of legislation. I see it. I see the changes where they're looking at not only just the way the Army does it, just the way the Navy does. They're looking at it as one entity across the board. How do we make this transition assistance program better? They're looking at it from federal and they're making changes. And I hear about it at the state, but I want to know, with boots on the ground, the people we're here, you know, how is it working? Is it working? Is anything trickling down, or are we still having the same issues that we have when our military members come home, especially arriving in New York City? And then what can we do to send a message?
So these are federal issues, so I don't want to pretend to speak on as far as
Oh,
on the
not the
federal
federal.
side of
I
it. As
just
far
wanna
as
see if it's
what we see
changing.
here is, you know, it's been a year now where we now receive the information for the service members who are leaving the service. That was a big deal for the Department of Defense to start sharing it with states. By
Mhm.
extension, we get it. And so every week we can download an Excel sheet that basically has all the DD-214 data for the folks who are coming home. We estimate somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 of those who leave the military just come to the 5 boroughs. And so we have that information. And so that's something that was, as of October last year, we started to get that. Starting next April, we're gonna get if someone is getting out and they elect to share their info with the state when they're going into the TAP program. So when you're getting out, you fill out this TAP worksheet.
Right.
There's a question there where right now it's defaults to no. But if someone says, hey, look, actually, yes, I want New York to know that I'm coming home, we'll start getting that information. New York State will start receiving that in April. We have to assume that we'll start getting it a few weeks later at the latest. Legislatively, what I care about is changing that from an opt-in to an opt-out. You know what I mean? In other words, making it so that right now, that's gonna be nice, but only about 13% of veterans or transitioning service members will check, hey, I want this state that I'm gonna go to know who I am. And so we want to flip that. So that's something very important for us at the federal level, as far as if something could survive that's an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act where it's the other way. Because if it's the other way, then you're talking about 70, 80+%, and we'll be able to communicate with them before they've gotten out. So we'll be able to start reaching out to the next Wendy McClinton, the next Andrew Walcott, the next Joe Bello before they get out. So that's how it hits us on the ground.
But with our services, are our services changing? You know, like, are we coordinating more with other entities in the city that can assist our veterans until they get whatever services they need from the VA? You know, I think we spoke about that at the last meeting. How is that, you know, like when we come to table, you know, like when the mayor has his meetings, are we working with foster care? Are we working with HRA? Are we working with, you know, other entities, not just relying on SSVF?
I think the toughest thing here is it takes two to tango. So for us, it's, okay, so we know who these people are who are coming home,
Right.
but we want to reach out to them so they can say, hey, look, I may need something, let me start to ping you. That's why the agreements Paul was talking about are so important, where we want to live in a world where all government officials whom we have covered to get our information to will have it, so that that state senator, that state assemblyman, that city councilman, that congressman, that senator can start reaching out to folks as surely as we are as well. So if we're all hands on deck, and the VA, and New York State DVS, if we're all hands on deck pinging our people, then at some point, because a lot of this is, yeah, I'm gonna keep ignoring this, I'm gonna keep ignoring this, I'm gonna keep ignoring this, and it's something changes. And so you've gotta, it's almost like politics or like business development. And so that's been, for me, the issue is getting the person to say, look, let me come back, let me actually come on the net. And then once we get that, that's when the game changes and opens up to everything you're saying.
Cool. Joe?
Yeah, so I just want some clarification, because at the beginning of the year, when we had our VAB meetings, the commissioner had stated that he was going to have a TAP at the World Trade Center, and that was gonna happen at the beginning of the new year. Then when at another meeting, you had said that we were gonna have a meeting at a TAP at Columbia University, and then we wound up having the New York Met one. Now you're saying that when you get them, you're reaching out to them, correct? Whereas they come in?
We're reaching out, and we wound up going with a virtual route for that one. For the earlier part of the year, we said, let's go virtual. So we had a virtual iteration of that, which is online on our website. And then forgive me for misspeaking. I don't remember the Columbia stuff. Forgive me for that. But I know we're talking about trying to do World Trade Center. We said, look, let's go with virtual format first and have something where that content is still available. So you can even go to nyc.gov/VetTap and see that information. And then we wound up having the one at Citi Field with the Mets.
Yeah, that's the same one you had last year.
Yeah, we're looking at getting to a place where we want to have a battle rhythm where we have one at the Mets and one at the Yankees starting in 2024. So we'll keep the Mets battle rhythm going. So you'll see something at the Mets in May, June of each year. But we are talking with the Yankees about doing something with them that'll be before the school year kicks off. So think, like August, September, where we would do something based on their schedule.
I think one of the feedback we've gotten, from conversations with people is, it's supposed to be a TAP, right? A transition assistance, or is this a resource?
It's more of a, I mean, we use TAP as a name because that's what catches with folks, but a lot of it is, we want to get to an end state where you know who to go to plug in if you need help. So think of it in that context.
There's a
Don't
lot
think
of
of it like
older
the,
veterans who have already been out here, they're not transitioning.
Yeah, I'll go a different place with you too. It's so the Yankees event we're working with the VA for that to be a VAC, or Veterans Experience Action Center, meaning that someone can go, and if I don't have any claim stuff taken care of, I can go in and walk out and it be done, and I have a rating and everything. And that's a lot of muscle movements. And so that's not just focusing on the folks who recently transitioned, it's for everybody. But so for us, we say in TAP, this transition assistance, program is really, I want you to come to a place where you come up and you're on the radar and you know who we are, you know who to go to, between not just us, but our nonprofit friends and the folks in the for-profit side. Just, we want to make sure
Would
that
you have some
yeah.
consideration then down the road where if you are getting people who are just returning back to the city for TAP, like maybe there's a separate location for them versus the resource fair where you're getting, Johnny Williams and others, including myself?
If I can chime into that, I think it's a healthy discussion, and that's what we need to do, because it says our people perish from a lack of knowledge. So if we keep continuing to communicate, we can work this. I think that it should be remain together. Why? Because we have individuals there that can assist those individuals that are coming in. The ones that are there, Joe, like you and I, we become the peers to those that are coming on. And one thing I would love to see.
That's why I didn't go.
Exactly.
That's why I didn't go. 'Cause
Oh.
I'm like, what, I have the services already and thinking this is a TAP.
Yeah, but your
know.
wisdom to share, to access, because they need to learn how to.
And I think they need to get
through the book.
clarification, communication.
Yeah, but we just say it's for all hands meeting. I don't know what we're gonna call, but it'll be called something. But you wanted to share something, sir? That's true. It's all in the branding. It's all in the branding.
So I think when it comes to transition assistance for veterans, I think where the city could really move weight is not with doing the VA's work, but really there is work that DVS can do to connect and break down the red tape with city agencies.
Correct.
Like if a vet needs housing, or not just go to SSVF.
That's right.
But how about HRA? How about the Department of Homeless Services? How about, how can we get, how can we get their SNAP benefits and their cash assistance flowing? There are things that are in the purview as a city agency, as a city department, that, why don't we do we have the points of contact, direct points of contact at the various city agencies? There should be a DVS direct point of
And
contact.
so it's funny you mentioned that. So I included, there was a question that I think Barbara had where it was about food vending, and we keep this list current. We check it, every year at least, if not multiple times, where we have a list of each liaison for each agency, the person who's identified as a veteran liaison to be there if there's a veterans issue, and I put down that information as far as it's nyc.gov/vet liaisons. We have that. Also, we have a care coordination group. That's what, Lauren DeMello is on the call. She runs that group. I feel like one of the issues we've got is not enough people are coming to us to use the things to check in. So her team is gangbusters as far as when veterans reach out and they say, here's my issue, work with me, et cetera. And by the way, the phone number's in there, the email address is in the chat and everything. It's just getting more of our folks to say, let me reach out so I can have that help. I feel like that's the larger issue we're dealing with.
So you're saying that the vets don't even know where to go to DVS to get the service or to get the help to break through to the.
There you go. And it's the same thing with the transitioning service members where I'm saying, look, we got the information. I need you to come online so I can then plug you into this VSO or this opportunity.
That's a very good point. And the thing is that how, and this is what you have, this is the New York City Veterans Advisory Board. We represent all these various boroughs. We represent the different areas of where we have our expertise. How come, the question would be, how come they don't know? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. How come they don't know? And that still goes back. I know they get tired of me beating it, but even when I come into the city, I see nothing that tells individuals where to go. When they come, how do they know where to go? The only thing that they know, like if they went to Fort Hamilton right now and individuals are transitioning back home, 9 times out of 10, they go back to where they left from. They go back to their recruiting stations. They go back to wherever they came from. How do we utilize our expertise and our knowledge to get the information to them where they should go? They should know about DVS off the bat. Like they know about the VA. Does the VA know? Is that where they're all going to the VA? Do we have to get enough
Wendy,
material
I
to
mean, I
the
think
VA?
there's two pieces of this. I think you're right about how do we make sure more folks know about us on the messaging side. That's true. At the same time, you have folks who are in our community who refuse to self-identify, who refuse to really come on the net.
okay.
And that's a whole other piece of this that, I mean, we got to talk about both sides of it. Even at schools where you have this, they know how many folks are veterans in schools because people using the GI Bill. When you go to the military veterans affinity group meeting, only a handful of folks are showing. I've seen employers with that same thing. So it's, I just want to point out, this is multifaceted.
I got you, but it's okay, because they're going to come. Why? Because they're going to come after somebody goes back and tells them what happened. What are the good things that they experienced? How I got help? You know what I'm saying? Some people are anti-VA, that's it. I got out, I don't want nothing to do with you, your shoes, your walk, I want nothing to do with you. However, that's still a small portion to them that should really know about the work that DVS is doing. So if you get the one, and we said it before, that peer-to-peer mentoring piece is critical, because that's where they get the information out. Another thing I wanted to say, you know, since you're going to explore the Yankee Stadium and the Mets field, wouldn't that be just a great place to have a stand down? A whole field with just all the services and everything for newly individuals coming out, for those who have been out, engaging them in that, and then getting all those city resources there. That's the one. They bridge the gap between military and civilian life until we get them into their benefits or get them to even self-identify. You know, are our city agencies asking, are you a veteran? You know, you know, are you a veteran? Are they still getting the, I think back in the day, they used to call it, like, I'm so old, 55A. Are they getting credit for putting these city applications in? You know, are we having consideration with them? You know, making that, finding those transferable skills to get them the jobs that they need to even survive in New York City. Do they know how much it costs to live here? You know, but we don't turn anybody away, right? Because we're a sanctuary city. You know, so we have to be that sanctuary city for our veterans as well, right? So we're gonna do that. Does anyone, any of the board have any questions, anything that they would like to share? Some of our new board members want to give us some information about yourself. You've been on the board for a couple of hours now. Couple of hours right now. So, you know, we'd love to hear from you. John, is there anything you would like to say? Tell me something. What's going on with the PACT Act? How has that been moving forward?
I really can't speak on the federal side of things. I don't want, as far as what's been going
Well,
on
I'm
with
just
that.
saying, I know
yeah,
that John
yeah,
has been
yeah.
a advocate and a role in that with the PACT Act, and how many veterans did we get to fill out their applications? Because that's more resources into the veterans' hands for the things that they've been through in the military.
I would like to bring up something.
Okay, who's that?
Brendan Gibbons.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Brendan Gibbons.
Hi, Mr. Gibbons. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
I just wanted to bring up something. I know the different outreach that DVS is doing. I know in particular Bob Holden's office. They have Tanya out there an awful lot. You know, she's helping out, trying to connect veterans to different things. But I can also speak about that where I actually went there to meet Tanya months ago myself, and one of the reasons that I'm getting more involved, I tried to check with her to have the DVS submit a claim for myself, you know, for disability. And after going through it initially, next thing I know they're very short-handed, and I don't know what staff they kind of have inside. But when it comes to filing a claim, it was basically 3 months later that someone called me back, and then they were directing me over to New York State Department of Veterans Affairs. So when I went into an office in Queens for outreach from DVS, it was 3 months later that I received a phone call back, and they were trying to refer me to New York State DVS. Since then, I have filed a claim with the New York State DVS, but New York City DVS was not able to do anything with a claim. So I don't know if this, maybe something's changed. I understand there's some staff that left. I don't know, is there anybody actually there processing claims while we're on that subject?
Brendan, thanks for the question. And before I forget, I'm putting, I just found online the PACT Act dashboard, which has the
Good.
information about what's going on with PACT
Thank
Act. No,
you.
Brenda, thanks for that question. We had some turnover at DVS on the claim side, and we do have a new leadership that's gonna be starting for that unit next week. Also, Tanya is back to doing claims, and you'll see her at Councilmember Holden's office, at Councilmember Palladino's office, and other places. And so we're in a spot where we just had some staffing issues there, but we've gotten that in its good place. Another piece of this is, we are working with, we're working with one of our Vet Connect service providers also to make sure that if someone does need claims work done, that, we'll do everything that we're able to. But if it's something where we have excess, claims, and we still have things that we need to push, that we'll push it to one of our Vet Connect service providers who's also getting accredited by the state. So that we want to have a way that whenever folks are coming who have this need, that we're able to triage it between us or one of our partners. So, yeah.
And we're glad to say we're one of those partners. too.
Yep, you guys, here's a part. Oh, yeah.
Yep, so that if they have any overflow of claims or different things of that nature, they can definitely, we have.
And Wendy,
6
this kind
claims
of doubles
representatives
down
as
on what you were saying as far as how do we work with the community? How do we try
That's
to
right.
leverage? So we're trying to get to a place where we're approaching this, where there's what we have, but if ever there's something that's beyond what we're able to account for, we want to start pushing it out to our VSOs that are accredited by New York State, so we can be all hands on deck here. So that's direct mentorship from you to me, I'm gonna tell you. So yeah.
A quick question. Was DVS actually handling claims? Was that advertised? That DVS was gonna have somebody helping vets directly handling claims?
We have a pilot for claims. In other words, it's a pilot project for us,
All
having
right.
the claims team.
All right, a
So, yeah.
pilot project.
Not project, pilot program where we've got
Pilot
folks who are accredited, yeah.
program, when you're dealing with disability claims,
Mhm.
those two things don't mix. You should never have a pilot program that could go or could not when you have claims. I mean, this is people, this could be people's livelihoods. This is families are reliant upon this. It's just bad practice.
Let me clarify that too. When I say pilot, we took staff who were in other areas and said, let's repurpose and have these positions for this work. Once we have new staff, new headcount, then it's no longer a pilot. So I want to be clear. So it's not, when I say pilot, it's really about what we can do. And we all talking about the lack of resources at DVS. So it's really, that's how we frame it. And we say, look, give us more staff, so we no longer call us a pilot. But I just want to clarify that. So, yeah.
Don't advertise you're doing something until you got the ducks in the row and you can hit the ground running with it.
Well, that's.
And it's very true. I have to say, let me just
One
chime in
second,
here.
but let me just give you a minute.
Go ahead.
That's why, even though DVS was starting this and on starting that with the claims committed, those partners that they have, they're not pilots. They have certified individuals at the state level that if there's any way that they can process those claims. So they're not pilots, but as DVS being one of the administrators to try to start and assist with those claims, those individuals that he's calling out in those organizations are not people testing. They're certified by the state to do claims and process claims
But obviously,
correctly.
given the one veteran's testimony right here and there, that was not happening. And there was a disconnect there. So this is just one person. That there were other, and this is just been a theme for a while now with DVS and certain programs. There's been problems with Vet Connect in the past. I've tested Vet Connect. I've referred some of our student vets here at CUNY through to, and unresponded to. So I just want to say that, programs, they look good and on paper they look great, but they need to be road tested before they are rolled out and saying that you're doing something that you're going to be doing, because the follow through has to be there. The accountability has to be there. And we all need to take ownership for the work that we do. So it's just my 2 cents.
And I want to get in, as somebody that you just said, Wendy, has been like in the community, I've had a number of veterans reach out to me to say, hey, I had my claim in with DVS and they can't find it. I've tried to call Glenda Garcia. She's not answering. I've tried to reach out to people and Tanya can't give me an answer. And now I'm being told it's gone to DVS. So, I mean, you know, I've had people reach out to me. I mean, I know there was rumors they couldn't even find your claim. So, you know, I have to agree with Rob. If you guys are getting your act together, and I'm a little leery about who you're hiring, because he did no claims. But if that's what's gonna be the case, then they're gonna, you know, you're gonna have to get that in order before this thing jumps off. And you're gonna have to be very clear, because again, I agree with Rob, claims, you're dealing with people's livelihood, you're dealing with their
Thank you for
money,
coming.
you're dealing with their time. So, that's all I wanna say about that.
I think that again, you know, I think that this is good. It's good, you know, corrective criticism or is very good. How we deliver it is even better. But at the end of the day, we still have to give kudos for them trying to assist, whereas there was a lag. You know what I'm saying? There was a lag. It wasn't always, you know, they were trying to do something. Not saying that it was wrong, not saying that it's perfect. However, we gotta try to get it together.
I'm not gonna
so that
name a
they can do
name,
that.
but I mean, this individual, for all intents and purposes, excuse my French, really messed it up. And I get it, that they took action on it. But again, where has been the communication? Because again, then I start getting the phone calls as Joe the advocate, and I'm sure other people do. I'm sure Ryan Graham has gotten phone calls. You heard from Glenn and Gibbons, and everybody is saying the same thing. Hey, yeah, I had a claim in with DVS. Hey, they're now referring me to the state. And I understand the other end of the umbrella of the state, but I agree with Rob that ducks need to be in order and
Yeah.
communication. This seems to be the theme now about we have to have, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to make the point that, like, if you're going to do this, it's great, but have it all and communicate with the community about it. And if it's not ready, then it's not ready. We'll accept that. That's all I'm trying to say.
Understand?
Well, just
Understand.
like Joe said, I'm sorry, forgive me a second. Just
No
like Joe
problem.
said, even my personal experience and the same thing, I'm honestly telling anybody that I deal with to go to somebody else instead of DVS. And I understand the fact that maybe the funding's not there, the right personnel not in place, and that's fine. My fear, and I know myself in particular, I handed some of my records to somebody one-on-one. I handed medical records, I signed off to give them power of attorney, and nothing was ever submitted and nothing came back. How many other veterans are out there that are a lot older than me that are sitting and waiting and are in some line that are just waiting for someone to call them back and they don't know where they stand? And that's my fear. It's something that I'm afraid of, that I feel a lot of people are in that boat. So what do we do to help them, you know?
And but I gotta say, we've been working to get our house in order on this front and make sure that we don't have anyone who's in that spot. As far as we've been doing everything we can to make all the touches and to, like I said, we have some adjustments we had to make internally, but we're moving in the right direction on this now. And these things, I pray that we get to a better place on this, and we're taking steps to do that. And I hope that we say, let the work talk, that, you know, we can earn the respect and the trust of folks in the community as we get our house in order on this. And I'm sorry about the situation that you've gone through. I am, and just know that we are very intentional in trying to just move this in the right direction.
I
So, yeah.
think you and your staff are gonna do that. Even listening tonight, I see Cassandra jetting it, writing, and I'm writing, because then what we do is we go back and we say, hey, this is what came out of this meeting. Let's pull these. If we haven't gotten back, let's get them to individuals that can, or let's get the ones that we can help and do. And that's what the meeting, and that's what it's all about, for us to come here. And this is what it is, the Veterans Advisory Board Public Session. This is where we come to hear from the public. I wish more of the public were here, because we can't always speak. The best person that can speak for someone is themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they should be here. And this is what we came to hear. What is the public saying? How do we come to address it? It's not to say you did this and you did that. It's to hear and come together and see how we can fix it. Right? That's all right online? We good? Okay.
Wendy, 100%. We're all here to help.
Okay, thank you, and I thank you so much, because this is the only way, thank you so much. This is the only way we can write, because if we don't know, we can't correct it. Is there anything else that we would like to share? Because this is the last Veterans Advisory Board. Yes, Joe?
Yeah, so I just want to make a few statements and comments. First of all, I want to thank Rob Timmons. I want to thank Rob Timmons for hosting here. I appreciate it. And I really want to thank you, Wendy. I really appreciate it that during the year you've hold these meetings on CUNY campuses. I think that's been really important to try to engage the student veterans on CUNY campuses to see what's going on. So I really appreciate that. I think one of the things that I'd like to see, moving to the end of the year report, I think it has to be said that the vendors issue is still on the table. So I think that's something that the board should look at as they create their end of the year report. I'd also like for I'd like for the board to find out what happened in June with the housing summit at City Hall. I'd also like some clarification from the VAB about Mission Vet Check, the mayor's MMR, stated finished in July 22nd. Commissioner testified it was still ongoing. The website was paused, but now the website is up. So I'd like for the VAB to get some clarification on that. And I just think, what else did I have to put? Oh, and I would like the VAB for the January meeting, if not the January meeting, then right after, to bring in Glenda Garcia to one of these meetings. She's overseeing a number of programs, legal, ACO, the community, and she has not showed up at any of these meetings. And she's the deputy commissioner. And I understand that the buck stops with the commissioner, but I really would like to hear Glenda Garcia's thoughts and comments on what she's doing in the agency, because to some extent, we call her the invisible man. So, and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you know as well as I do, other than seeing her at the executive budget hearing, no one has seen her. So, I mean, it would be nice for her to, as the deputy commissioner, to at least show her face and not just maybe at the mayor's breakfast. That's just a thought. And that's it. Other than that, get the claims, the housing, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay, we have all of that written down. You can send me and the commissioner those things.
And I will.
Basically, we'll take care of that and take that agenda on. We'll probably meet with, in our executive session of the VAB, and we can discuss those things. Because some things that we bring to, and some things that we bring here in public may not be the discussion for the public.
Sure.
So we have to take that into consideration as well. So we'll sit and talk and we'll analyze those things. And at the next VAB, the executive meeting, we'll probably have those answers and then formulate an answer.
Yeah, I'll
that's
send
for
you
the
some
public
questions
as well.
about some of the marketing and the outreach that they've done versus what the budget and what the commission testified in July for clarification.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anything else?
Wendy, I have a few things.
Who's that?
It's Ryan. What's going
Hi,
on?
Ryan.
How you doing?
Good.
A few things. One, Sunday, November 12th is the annual Veterans Day parade in Queens. And I have to shout him out, but the Grand Marshal is going to be Brendan.
Who?
Brendan Gibbons, one of our.
Okay.
So I'll give him rounds. A few things. I'm sorry, I have so many notes here. Now, this is in relation to sort of what's been spoken about, and then there's some comments here. I see Rebecca's, Barbara's, and some of the comments with the community boards. So first and foremost, this Saturday in the Rockaways is the Queens County American Legion Legislative Breakfast. In December, it's either going to be the first or second Saturday, I believe. There's going to be the VFWs for District 1, which is representative of Brooklyn and Queens, their legislative breakfast. So ultimately, the one thing I've realized over the years is if we need to get anything done, we need to show up in numbers. And I'm going to say this quite frankly. It doesn't matter what community you're a part of, whether you're in a union, whether you're a veteran, or whatever community you affiliate yourself with. Elected officials, they just see us as votes. So, I mean, it's very straightforward. But if we really want to get stuff done, we need to show up to things like these. The VFW, they put on a really good event. There's usually like 12 to 15 panelists, anywhere from congressional reps, Assembly, Senate, City Council. This stuff's important. We have to show up in numbers. And also community boards. I know Dondi mentioned it. There was other gentleman. I didn't get his name. I sat on a community board for a couple terms in South Queens, and stuff like this is important. I've never seen that many veterans serve on community boards, and if we really want to get change done, we need to get more involved. And I just have a few things here. Don't mind me. Ultimately, you know, Brendan was also talking about service officers or people running claims. This is very important. This might ruffle some feathers. I know Rebecca mentioned it regarding the wall. How's it help? Honestly, when it comes to monuments and street sign renamings, this stuff is really secondary. The first things we have to focus on is mental health and finances, and stuff like helping veterans get their claims done. It you know, Brendan mentioned it. This is stuff that's necessary. It needs to be streamlined. It needs to be put forward, and we need people running claims that actually know what they're doing. From what's an intent to file, secondary claims, because I know I've went through it. Plenty of other veterans that I've dealt with over the years, they've dealt with it where it's, excuse my language, it's a lot of people doing their claims. It's like throwing shit up against the wall. They come back and they say, oh, well, just take whatever you're going to get. And yeah, there may be issues, say, within DVS. We also need to realize the other part of it. If you look at the overall budget for the city, DVS is only a drop in the bucket, and they took a cut. So whereas you're looking at the NYPD, the DOE, some of these other agencies, granted they get a large capacity, they're getting like $1 billion plus. DVS, they're running really short-manned. Operationally, I know Commissioner Hendon's working as best as he can with what he has. Resources, they do matter, but like I said, these are two big things: mental health and finances. That's the one thing I've realized over the years. And sometimes, you know, if the finances are not where they're at, and compensation can help through the VA, you know, it can lead to a deterioration of mental health. Like I said, you know, I know there's a lot of back and forth that's been going on through this meeting, and I'll leave it as is. But and there's problems left and right, but ultimately we know what the problems are, and whether it's DVS, the VAB, or community organizations, community members, we need to get together and kind of resolve this stuff. The problems are there. Like I said, my notes are all over the place, so I'll leave it as is. But yeah.
Thank you so much, and I agree with that. Mental health is very important, especially with our veterans. So, especially now that holidays are coming around, so I pay attention to that.
Can I add something to that,
Sure.
Wendy?
Hi, John.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Good, good. I hope all the retirees have a good time when they leave this wonderful board. So I retired for the second time not too long ago with BVA, so what the hell. I was a service officer back in 2001 to 2005, about 3 days a week working out of the Manhattan regional office. And that was a lot of fun. And it's interesting that the mental health and the finance all go together when you finally get these clowns to file for a PTSD claim, which none of them want to admit to. They can finally get the money they deserve and need. The real problem, I think, is the State Division of Veterans Affairs, which is the real pro supposedly in the state, are also way undernumbered and have been for many years. And we used to have a lot more of them in this city. And then when we started to get the city agency and we had some people in the council, in the colleges, the state kind of pulled back a lot. We need to talk to some of our state legislators to find many.
I think your audio went out a little.
Froze.
I think we might have,
Just-
I think we might have lost your audio. I think it froze a little bit there, John.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm kind of screwed up totally here. I think my legislative levels, aren't very good. Anyway, one of the things I talked about in the VVA meeting today in Queens Chapter 32, I belong to everything, and frankly, I'm on my 4th VFW, I think my 3rd American Legion. I'm still on my original Catholic War Veterans post that I was commander of, but that they're all dying, all of them. They're fading away fast. We're not replacing them. The buildings are dying. They're falling apart. What else? They're getting such big offers. They sell them. My VFW sold for 800 grand. They managed to keep the money somehow, and the state and national didn't get a hold of it all. But we're giving it away, and that's very nice, but we need to do a better job of that. I think we need to sit down. All the organizations need to have a sit down and come together. As I say, many of us Vietnam veterans belong to all of them anyway, so what the hell? Put us all together and see where we can go to try to keep us alive. Us, every time I turn around, I'm losing somebody else I know, I'll grow up with. And so before we're all gone, and the younger veterans will have to fend for themselves. We need to figure some things out. Maybe for those of you who are in the Legion and the VFW and active in it, can have a conversation with the commanders and say, let's sit down with all of us and figure it out. Because we got to do something where this is just going to fade away. We're not going to have anything. Be lucky to hold on to what we do have.
Anyone else?
Well,
Thank you,
well
John.
said, John. Well said.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone in the room?
John is right.
Yeah.
Well, just to go on top of what John said, I love listening to John talk over the years. I mean, he's a great speaker. And he's a veteran's veteran. Yeah, he's totally right. I mean, I'm a member of some of the old legacy VSOs, the brick and mortar VSOs. In fact, actually right now I'm in the process of revitalizing one of the older VFW posts throughout the country in Corona. They're great places, and these are the type of places where I think any veterans can show up to. In fact, last Saturday we held our meeting, and we had about, I'm going to say 6 to 8 veterans served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they had a good time. So yeah, these are really good places. Catholic War Vets, American Legion, VFW. They're good places. They just need the extra push. So yeah.
You wanted to say something? You were saying, say something.
Just a second or even third, some of the sentiment here is I think veterans, there should be a push to do some cross joining of VSOs, or where, you don't just have to belong to one.
That's right.
Try to belong to a few. I know it can be cost prohibitive sometimes to add all these memberships, but if in your ability, it's definitely a good way to be involved and keep
some of these supposed to float. Absolutely.
And Wendy, just as a positive, just, like, just to make a point of what John is saying. One of the things we know is that 70% of the veterans in New York City right now are 55 and older. And, I had the DVS's MMR, but looking at the city's MMR, like, the rate of timely food stamp processing has declined to 39%. And yet, Stars and Stripes had an article saying that almost 1.5 million veterans don't have enough to eat. So I think, what is happening with food and, not just between DVS and Black Vets, but at the Bronx and Staten Island Giving Circle, and, it's a shame, but it is a positive thing because, vets are getting nutrition. God's love we deliver.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out such a difference in the statistics. How are we getting all these numbers and where are they coming from? It's like the statistics say one thing, but the numbers say the reality of it all. Just when the commissioner was talking about, we deliver 8,000 meals a month.
A week. It's a week.
No, it's 2,000 a week.
Those 2,000 actually are 8,000. In other words, they packed up, they're bundled up. So 2,000 bags, each bag is actually
Two people.
four. Each bag, so it's more in terms of meals. So yeah, it's meals.
I'm
So
just looking
each
at
bag's multiple
what
meals.
the
Yeah.
family household, the breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm counting the bags.
Yep.
And then to hear that it's only 39%. We also hear, the commissioner, we always say to people, there's not that many veterans in the shelter. But we know from what we see, they're homeless because they're not identified. So we can only count the numbers of those people who are identified.
I can't help you if you don't tell me.
I got
who
you.
are.
I got you. But we'll get through all of it. It'll be, you've been so quiet down there.
Got nothing on my end. Just taking some notes.
Okay, and you're with?
I'm the veteran coordinator here at City Tech.
Okay, all right, good. So glad you're here. And your name is?
I'm Cody.
You're Cody. Thank you. So how does it feel being the veterans coordinator? Is it a hard job?
No, it's
Trying
not
to
hard.
coordinate?
It's a good job.
Excellent. All right.
My old job.
Huh?
He took my old.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, if no one online has any questions, any other words you would like to share? Jennifer and Todd, it has been a privilege serving with you on the board. I hope that our communication, I hope that our friendship, the camaraderie and all that we've shared over the years stops just because you're not on the board. I am totally available. I know where you are. I got your number.
We got your phone number.
I got your number. No, I got your email address. And I'll be flooding your emails. And if I don't speak to you, please, to everybody. If we don't, because we don't have another meeting until January.
Wendy.
I know I'm gonna have an executive meeting in December.
Wendy, I got
Yes.
one other thing, just for DVS. I sent an email to Jason and to Wendy and Mercedes. There were a number of videos.
Wait a
from
minute, I was in the middle of
2021.
Mike Bob.
I'm sorry, 2022 and 2023 missing. So if you guys, I know, my understanding, you guys move them to IT and then they post them up. You can find out where they're at because, we're missing, the board's missing a number of them.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you,
Thanks
I'm
for
sorry.
reminding. It's okay, it's okay. But I'm gonna come and just, have a happy holidays to everyone. Let's remember that veterans, this is a time of real, toughness for some veterans. Are we getting any turkeys, you think? So we can bless these households with more than just the Hello Ready Fresh? And we want to try to do that. So if anybody knows of any turkey giveaways or anything that we can do, I know we're having a toy drive for Christmas of veterans, especially those who are homeless. So we have those things that are coming up, our Kwanzaa celebrations, all of that. So we ask everybody to please pay keen attention. Suicide amongst our veterans, especially during the holidays, is very, very high. So we want to remember that. Remember our students that are in school, and how we could help them. All right. So we thank everyone for joining us. Have a great night. We appreciate you, Jennifer and Todd. Again, thank you for a job well done. You are the best. Thank you so much. And Miss Ali, we still don't have no cookies. She looked up then. I don't know where she went. She makes the best cookies I heard. I'm gonna have to come over to the Staten Island. I'm gonna have to go to the Staten Island and get it. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Take care. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Bye-bye.
Happy Veterans Day.
That's right. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you.
Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day. I won't be here in New York this time.